and the
Okay.
politicians who also have the
But
agricultural land.
Alokji,
So
the
they never argued
loopholes,
about it.
yeah, but the loopholes can only be exploited by the very rich who have the teams of people who exploit the loopholes. And the reality of this is, and let me get Mr. Iyer into this conversation. Mr. Iyer, this is not true only of India, it's true of it's true of America, because the biggest corporates will be headquartered in the Bahamas and they will be paying license fees for their brand name to their own entity in the Bahamas and saying that, oh, because the license fee is $20 billion and that's an expenditure, so we actually run a loss. You know what to do, we are such bichara, such poor people, don't mind my private jet. So, very rich people get away with it. The poor, of course, can't afford to pay the tax. So, what about the rest of us?
So, good morning, Shabji, and namaskar to all my fellow panelists. So, the issue of expanding the taxpayer base has very well been talked about by other fellow panelists here, right? So, that's an unavoidable issue. The larger question is, what can we do about it? I mean, we have certain realities.
Yeah.
So probably let me wear my CA hat instead of my, as a professor, as a doctorate. My thinking as a basic CA is, when I look at United States, Singapore and other countries, the filing of returns can be as an individual, as a family, with children, parents. So when we allow that kind of a system in India, that would automatically factor in the number of dependent members, the number of earning members, taking family as a unit. Perhaps that's the one way where it is possible for government to bring in a kind of relief for people. See, on one hand, we need to expand the tax base, agriculturists and others who don't deserve to get that kind of exemption. So that's a point taken, right? So here I'm talking of what else can be done from the other side, so that there is some kind of relief that can be extended to people. And perhaps one more thing, talking from a corporate or as an individual, high net worth individual point of view, more than the tax, people get irritated by litigations. So we also need to look at, as a government, as a ministry, also need to look at how do you make the entire environment litigation free, the entire environment, more certain in terms of, exactly what to pay. You don't have to play around with the numbers, right? So that's what would make this entire experience, paying money will never be pleasant, but at least it will make the entire experience comfortable for taxpayers.
Okay, so let me pick up that thought, right? Because when you say litigation is when the officer in government then says, okay, what have you spent here? But yes, we have a shopkeeper who suddenly says, I'm buying 10 MacBooks. Which are actually being done to get GST benefits. So, the government also has to do its duty, because it's not fair if I'm an honest taxpayer and the guy next door is doing all sorts of hera-feri. So, government has to do it. But Mr. Iyer, has the fact of at least the ease of filing taxes made it a lot easier? That, okay, at least you don't have to go to that income tax office where there will be a clerical level person who, may want whatever just to process your file or accept your file in time. All of that has been out of the window. So has that made it easier to a new generation of people who will never have to visit an income tax office? It's all online.
Absolutely. And I must also say, 25 years ago, I started my career as a chartered accountant. I must say that, the corruption and all those things that we see at the grassroots level of dealing with the officials, various officials, not just tax, excise, all kinds of officials, those things are mostly a thing of past. So we have come a long way over the last 20 years, and particularly the last few years, given the digital push, we have come a long way. That's why I'm saying the base is set. There are some two big irritants on the way. And like my other senior fellow panelists have rightly identified, if we can expand the base, not club everybody as agriculturists and expand the base so that more people pay tax. And second, for individual taxpayers, bring in family as a unit and other changes that we bring in. That would bring in a lot of relief for genuine people who want to pay tax and contribute to, towards the mission of Viksit Bharat. Who doesn't want, as an Indian, who doesn't want to see our country as, the developed country by 2047? We all want to see that.
I can think of a very rich list of people who are more than happy to offshore their assets, but also then complain about the state of the roads. So yes, it's a truism that we all want to contribute, but I can think of a lot of country who are blessed, people who are blessed, sometimes feel that, listen, somebody else can contribute on my behalf. But let me take a practical aspect of this.